Oh my, Mr. Lawrence feels that way about me?
Apparently. He isn't aware of your real secret at all. This is no time to be embarrassed.
I'm sorry. I'm just hardly accustomed to that kind of thing.
Worry not, and in any case, whatever it was that he saw on the night of the incident, mark my words, I will drag it out of him.
Does that mean Mr. Lawrence is the witness today?
No. I believe that none will be the first to take the stand.
Sister Bikini.
She claims to have seen the very instant in which you carried out the crime. I just want to ask you one last time. It really wasn't you who killed Miss Elise, correct?
That is correct. It wasn't me.
Very well. Very well then.
Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes.
You're a prosecutor, aren't you? Are you sure about this? If your true identity is revealed...
Don't worry. I've made the necessary arrangements.
A little illegal, maybe, but you know. I see.
Iris, it is a prosecutor's job to doubt people. But right now, I'm a defense attorney. A defense attorney's job is to believe in people and to believe until the bitter end. That's what my friend told me once.
Mr. Edgeworth.
I simply ask that you watch and decide for yourself whether or not I am fit to do the task I have been entrusted.
Very well, sir. I leave my defense in your capable hands.
The court is now in session for the trial of Sister Iris of Hazakura Temple. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The defense does indeed appear to be ready. However, the same cannot be said for the prosecution in this case. Indeed. I'm not sure I like such a blatant waste of this court's time. An empty prosecutor's chair can only mean that the prosecutor has no confidence in their ability to prove their case. It would seem this case is already over before it had the chance to begin. Wouldn't that be a day? I'm ready to announce my verdict at this time. This court finds the defendant...
The prosecution stands ready.
And you are?
Franziska von Karma, prosecuting prodigy.
Von Karma, you say? Perchance you wouldn't be of any relation to the legendary prosecutor Manfred von Karma.
Legends are a thing of the past. I'm a von Karma, that's all. Upon a special request, I flew in today for the purpose of prosecuting this case.
You did? Then you must be quite a big shot, eh? By the way, Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm almost certain that I've seen you somewhere before, or am I just imagining things? You look very much like a prosecutor I met once. I believe you are imagining things, Your Honor. Miss Von Karma, do you have anything to say?
There's no such weakling as this man among those of the prosecutor's office.
There isn't? But I'm quite sure—
I told you there is no such weakling.
Well, what is that, a whip? I'm not sure I care for such a thing in my courtroom. Bailiff, remove that whip. I have no objection to the whip. You don't?
Well, I don't think that necessarily matters, Judge. I think it only matters if you care.
The prosecution can wield a whip or drink 17 cups of coffee. But there's still only one truth. That's what I stand here to prove today.
This promises to be interesting, Miles Edgeworth. I had expected to face Phoenix Wright here today. But looking at you now, maybe this is what I've been waiting for all this time. Miles Edgeworth, I'll not allow this chance to crush you slip through my fingers. I see you brought your flair for the histrionic? Whatever.
Allow me to add to the things I am not sure about. People acting bizarrely in my court.
The stage is set, now continue with the proceedings, Your Honor.
Very well. Miss Von Karma, please give an outline of this case, with as little whipping as possible.
The murder victim is the framed picture book author, Miss Elise Duman. Her body was found in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. She'd been stabbed through the torso by a ceremonial sword from a golden statue.
The sword in this picture, is the weapon in question, correct? Very well, the court accepts this photo of the crime scene.
Let's just have a little peek-see at that photo, shall we? Not seeing anything immediately stand out here. No. The footprints maybe are a little weird? Kinda hard to tell, though. Nothing's obviously wrong in the picture, anyway. There's no mistake, this was the doing of Sister Iris. After all, there is a witness to her crime.
Very well. Please bring this witness to the stand. And so it begins. My first and last trial as a defense attorney.
Can we please get the witness a stool? Witness, state your name and occupation, please.
Hold on here, I'm not sure about being not sure if I care for all this.
What the fuck did you just say to me?
Witness, please stand up nice and straight.
Amazing.
If I recall correctly, there are a few milk crates in the defendant's lobby for our back pain-plagued witness. Bailiff, fetch the crate for this poor lady, please.
Once again, your name and occupation, please.
Little old me? Well, I'm the head nun of Hazakura Temple on Eagle Mountain. My name is Bikini. You got it, Bikini. Nice to meet everyone.
But you don't appear to be wearing a bikini right now.
The courtroom is the garden of holy judgment. Those with lechery in their heart should leave this sanctuary at once. So true, Queen. Please continue.
You want me to leave?
No need to get your bikinis in a twist. Let me tell you, I'm a sight to behold in summer.
In any case, witness, I hear that you saw the crime take place on the night in question.
That's right. I can still hardly believe it myself, to be honest. There's no way dear little Iris could do anything like that.
Let us hear what you have to say, then. First, tell us about your own movements that night, eh?
That night I was helping an acolyte with her training in the inner temple, but, well, as you can see, my back likes to act up violently. So I left Iris to help the acolyte and returned to Hazakura Temple. There's no bath at the inner temple, you see, and I needed a long hot soak. It was after I'd finished I was heading back. That's when I saw it.
Do we have something that says she never went, right? Like she gave us something? No. I must have been thinking of this. It's been a couple of days. I must just be thinking of this. Because I was like, didn't her testimony say she didn't go there? Well, you know, testimony, I did not mean to do that. However, well, I don't know.
So it was simply coincidence that you found yourself returning to Hazakura Temple.
Yes, you could say that. If my back hadn't been in so much pain, I would have stayed at the inner temple.
That sounds like a pretty important statement she just made.
There's only one problem with this testimony I can see. And you're not about to fall at the first hurdle now, are you, Miles Edgeworth?
Mr. Edgeworth, please begin your cross-examination.
Well, nothing seemed obviously wrong. Is there a there isn't a... Like, is there like a hot spring or something over there? We haven't seen anything like that, right? No, surely not. Whatever. Alright. Alright. I don't see anything immediately. Let's just start pressing.
What is this inner temple?
Well, see, conversing with the spirits is what we train people to do, right?
We'll be the ones asking you the questions, madam.
In order to do that, a place strong in spiritual power is required. There's a small temple across Dusky Bridge called the Inner Temple. Acolytes must spend an entire night there to undergo intense training.
And how exactly do you help with this process?
It's all quite exacting. It can't be performed without an unsupervising. Like a tutor watching to make sure a spoiled child studies.
A tutor with a whip in your case. If that is the case, then why did you return to Hazakura Temple where the murder took place? Violently?
That's right. It's no laughing matter, especially in winter. I can't hold anything heavier than a knife and fork during the cold months. Just being alive is like strict training. Wahahaha, wahahaha.
On the night of the murder, was this fabulous back of yours hurting again?
That's right, raging like a bull in a pig pen. I almost fainted once or twice. I just knew that unless I was warmed up, it was gonna finish me off. Ah, fuck. Back up.
You left Iris to help. With what?
What do you think? The Acolyte's training, of course. It was just past 10 p.m., so we were starting to enter into the training exercises proper.
Alright, now, this is a bit more of an issue, because she's supposed to have been ringing the bell at this point, but you're saying that she was with you now? Wasn't it your place to remain with the disciple?
Well, the job is simply to watch over the Acolytes so that they don't pass away.
Just to confirm this point again, that night, you met Iris at the Inner Temple, correct?
Yes, she's a gentle, honest girl. She's never once failed to follow my directions.
Do I slam the blackmail note right here? Because this is, you know... Even though we know she didn't actually go there. So you returned to the Hazakura Temple in order to take a bath.
My back is to blame for everything. It's a do-or-be-done-in kind of world, after all.
How long were you in the bath for, if you don't mind me asking?
My, what a filthy little rogue you are. I know what's on your mind. I bet your next question is going to be, where exactly did you wash? Ah, this is why you have to watch the young ones.
What are you going on about? Ah!
Pathetic, Miles Edgeworth.
The lowest of the low. Is there some sort of kick-me sign that's stuck to the defense's bench?
Anyway, I couldn't afford to be away from my post for long, you understand, so...
The crime took place in the courtyard, correct?
When you go from my room to the main hall, you have to take a winding hallway from which you can see the courtyard. That's right. In other words, it was pure coincidence the witness saw the crime taking place before her eyes. There was no complicated setup in this case.
That certainly seems to be true.
There's indeed only one problem with this test fire.
Alright. I'm so not confident about this for some reason. No, it wasn't that. What else is wrong with it? What's the problem here? Oh, and was then in her room until the murder was discovered. It does say that. I just kind of skimmed past it and didn't read it properly. That's my fault. I can't read. It's true. Witnesses have to undergo their own trials, I'm afraid. The defendant's fate rests on their powers of observation and memory, after all.
Well, don't worry, I'm more than up to the task. I'm a woman of faith, after all, the head honcho of Hazakura Temple.
In that case, Miss Honcho, I'd like you to explain something for me. The discrepancy between your testimony and that of the defendant, Iris. She claims that after ringing the lights-out bell, she went back and stayed in her room. Which means she did not go to the Inner Temple at all.
No, she said that? A defendant or a witness? Who is more likely to lie, do you suppose? I don't know that you're allowed to make an argument like that. Surely you should still need to present evidence to disprove my defendant's testimony. The defendant is simply lying to cover her back.
But that's completely illogical. The murder was committed in the courtyard of Hazakura Temple. Claiming that she went to the inner temple would make for a much better alibi.
But that is odd. Whatever the reason, I can't believe that she would lie.
She does indeed have honest eyes.
Well, all people lie, that is my belief.
Why am I the only one being whipped in here? Anyway, neither the witness nor the defendant have any reason to lie. Which means we must call your memory into question.
Dear, dear, dear. You're older than me, and yet you want to play that game, do you?
Well, that isn't exactly what I...
My memory is perfect, crystal clear, especially in winter.
Then I suppose it's too early to end this cross-examination, eh? Mr. Edgeworth, if you're going to question the memory of this witness, you'll need to show me a more decisive piece of evidence. Understood, Your Honor. I was naive to think that that alone would do the trick. Then please add your comments about Iris to the testimony, and let us return to the cross-examination.
Wait, I lost my place because I clicked by mistake. Dressed exactly as she had been at dinner? No. Incorrect. I'm holding hers right now.
Witness, let's get one thing straight. The defendant whom you claim to have met, she was wearing this demon-warding hood, correct?
Of course. That's a very important piece of clothing, I'll have you know. Wahaha, wahaha, haha.
Wait a minute.
Oh, hold it right there. Why do you have that?
That's the question of the day now, isn't it, Miss Von Karma? I'll have you know that this hood was given to someone as a gift that night, before the lights out bell was rung.
What?
You know where I'm going with this, don't you? If the witness had seen the defendant as she claims, then the iris she saw should have been missing this very hood.
Well...
It's not a bad feeling at all exposing contradictions like this. Now I understand that happy look on Wright's face every time he does it. Order in the court. Wait, you...
Sister, this hood. You have spare ones around the temple, don't you?
Spares? Well,
I do tend to make too many of them.
I see. A stockpile. A surplus of hoods, eh?
Each nun's only given one hood. This should be the only hood Iris owned.
Then this is quite strange.
If there was a surplus of hoods, then she could easily have worn one of those. There is no contradiction here.
I'm sorry to break this to you, Miss Von Karma, but you won't get away that easily. Discrepancies such as this will sow seeds in any human heart. The seeds of doubt. Witness, while I don't wish to call your testimony into doubt, you must give every detail with precision.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable going along with this. Sister, you shall continue with your testimony. Tell us about what you saw after finishing your bath on your way back to the temple.
Those seeds of doubt are sprouting in the judge's heart. They just need a little more stimulation. To bear fruit. Contradictory stimulation.
I finished my bath around 11, and I thought I should return to the inner temple.
What time did they die?
Fuck. Damn. You always want to see that easy slam dunk like, oh, they just said the wrong time, you know. As I was walking back, I heard a noise from the courtyard. I took a look around, and Iris was, Mystic Elise, and with that sword of all things. Mystic Elise was staying in the corner room which faces out into the courtyard. The stabbing I saw must have occurred after she was pushed out of her window.
You saw a truly terrible sight, didn't you? If I was in your place, then it would be a little like Miss Von Karma whipping Mr. Edgeworth in court. And me seeing it all from this very chair. Well, something like that.
The problem I'm having with what she just said is, you know, the pushed out of the window thing. So what? 2 different people were trying to kill Elise that night and pushed her out the window, and then Iris did it? Or she pushed Elise out the window and then walked all the way around? Or jumped out of the window after? Kind of weird, isn't it, to say?
This judge. His imagination is about as vivid and creative as Detective Gumshoe.
I would look the fool if I commented on such foolishness. Anyway, this case is mine, Miles Edgeworth.
Calling everyone by their full name. Can't you do something about that habit of yours?
So the seemingly obvious point is, well, if she was using the sword, why is the statue holding the sword? You know? So I'm gonna press here first.
This is the second time the witness has testified to seeing the defendant, but some doubt remains in those claims.
Hey, just what does that mean? Just because you're a good-looking young man doesn't give you the right to...
The murderer who stabbed the victim with the sword. Sister Bikini, try to recall exactly who it was you saw as clearly as you can.
Well, you're a handsome young man, so I'll forgive you. Oh, now that you mention it, there was something awfully strange about her. Something has been bugging me all this time.
Please don't keep us in suspense.
Her hood.
Her hood?
That's right. It's coming back to me. She wasn't wearing her hood. I thought something was out of place, but it all makes sense now, doesn't it? After all, she'd given that hood away to someone else, right? Huh. You've dug your own grave, Miles Edgeworth.
What do you say, Mr. Edgeworth? Is this testimony important?
Yeah.
This may initially appear to put me at a disadvantage, but I can't see any other leads at the moment. Your Honor, I would like these new statements to be added to the testimony.
Miles Edgeworth, if you want to hang yourself, you need only ask. I'll gladly lend you my whip.
Witness, add that statement to your testimony.
No problem.
Okay, let's press on that as well. You are sure about that?
Yes. After all, we always wear the same clothes. I don't mean because we're poor, you understand. It's our style. Yes, that's it.
There's absolutely no need to explain yourself.
Anyway, she looked different from normal, so that really stuck out. Like me holding a whip-headed puppy instead of my whip. Interesting.
At least then it might bite you and not someone else.
Iris didn't have her hood on, I'm sure of it.
Very well.
Alright.
Well, we literally just proved that she had her hood on, so, you know, I don't see any way we go at that. Oh. Oh, no, she has it. Well, she's not got her hood on, but she has it with her. I thought it might be something like, prove that she doesn't always have it, but... seeing as she said they always wear the same clothes. Alright, let's back it up. How far is it to your room from the inner temple?
Let me think a moment. About 20 minutes on these stumps of mine. It's about 15 minutes to Dusky Bridge from Hazakura Temple. The inner temple's just a bit beyond the bridge. Still, you never made it back there that night, did you? That's right. I was heading along the walkway towards the main hall.
You say you heard a noise.
Thump. Just like that. That could only be the sound of the victim falling. It's very quiet in the temple, you know. You can even hear the snow falling from the branches. Thump. Just like that.
But then, couldn't this noise you heard have been the snow falling to the ground?
I never thought of that.
Ho 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 ho.
Ah! The next one to laugh gets a whipping. Well, whatever the source of the sound, I looked over at the courtyard and...
The room the victim was staying in overlooked the courtyard, correct? Which means the victim's room was on the second floor?
No, Hazakura Temple's a single-story building. But the mountain itself slopes downwards, which elevates the main gate side of the temple and the guest rooms in the back to about the height of a 2-story building.
I see. And the victim was staying in one of these elevated rooms, correct?
Yes, I should know. I'm the one who carried her things to her room after all.
What makes you so sure of all of this?
It's just like I told you earlier. I heard a noise from the courtyard, okay? Thump, just like that. You're one smart sister, I'll give you that. The autopsy report states that the victim's body was covered in bruises, indicating a fall from around 10 feet in height.
It appears that the witness was not mistaken then.
Yep, I'm more than just a pretty face, especially in winter. I'm a woman of faith after all, the head honcho of Hazakura Temple.
There's only 2 of them working there.
What's wrong, Miles Edgeworth? No snappy comeback remark?
So... I mean, this is the thing that got added, and it's like, basically always the statement that gets added. But what the fuck am I meant to say to that? We literally just proved that she didn't have it. Oh. Body fell after death. Aha. Yeah. I've got you now. Haha. It wasn't that statement at all. I was tunneling on the wrong thing. Impressive logic. That's what I'd like to say anyway.
Oh, please do. My brain is something else, especially in winter.
However, I think you're overlooking one thing. Miss Von Karma, would you be so kind as to take another look at the autopsy report?
The autopsy report?
The victim did fall from a height of 10 feet. However, this fall was after she was killed. Which is going to take quite the explanation, isn't it? And it's quite the explanation. I do remember why that happened. That's right, it says after death right here. The scene the witness claims to have seen is contradictory. If the defendant stabbed and killed the victim there in the courtyard, how did the victim then go on to take a 10-foot fall? Ah! Order! The victim was killed and then fell. If that is the case, then the victim must have been killed in her room, don't you agree?
That's the logical conclusion. Yes, that's right. The victim must have been stabbed by the defendant in her own room, and she was thrown out of the window down into the courtyard below.
Were there any signs of a struggle in Miss Dumont's room? She was stabbed with a sword. That would leave a blood stain, wouldn't you agree? Well, Miss Von Karma, was there any blood? No traces of blood were found in the victim's room. Your whip has just caused traces of blood to be found on my glorious playoff beard. However, if there was no it should have been me.
I'm sure there's no need for me to go over this, as I'm sure your honor is well aware of when a stab wound produces the most blood.
When it produces the most blood?
Very little blood is actually lost at the moment of the blade's insertion. If you want to talk about when the most blood would be lost from a body, that would be when the blade is removed.
Indeed, where the weapon is still in place. It acts like a lid on the wound.
There's not no blood, though. You are correct, but there still shouldn't be no blood in the room in that case.
That's true. With the weapon still in the body, there wouldn't be much bleeding.
But there would be some, though.
A perfectly reasonable line of thinking.
No, not really. You'd especially, like, expect, given where she was stabbed, you'd especially expect to see some, like, on the windowsill. Cause, like, it's not as if she would have been picked up and thrown bodily out the window, she would have, like, tumbled over it. So you'd expect to at least find blood there, just from, like, rubbing off of her. We've come to a conclusion, then. The victim was thrown out of the window with the sword still in place. Either way, your witness's testimony is still fucked then, isn't it? You know, like, it still completely contradicts what she saw. This removes all the contradictions. No, it just means this witness's testimony is worthless.
Order, order, order. I must admit that this is a probable version of events. I'd expect no less from Franziska von Karma. She locates and takes control of every vital point. It seems that we need a clearer testimony from the witness. Remove all supposition from your part and tell us only the facts, please. Witness, please, remain standing on the crate.
Don't go selling me short now. Oh god, she's approaching. The weight of winter snow has bent me out of shape, especially my back and my hood. Sister, please give us your testimony. I will give you a vigorous massage once we are finished here.
With the whip?
It should have been me! Oh boy, alright, alright. When I looked across the scene, the sword was already in place. Thinking about it now, I didn't actually see her stab Mystic Elise. I've never seen so much blood before. That's when I fainted. You can't blame me, can you? When I awoke, Mystic Army was stabbing Mystic Elise through the back. Now, you say you've never seen so much blood, but like, I wouldn't classify this as so much blood, but that seems like a way too nebulous point to try and push on. Also, why is this knife completely fucking clean? You know, like, just a perfect line right at the wound.
This all confirms Miss Von Karma's theory.
Von Karma strive for nothing but perfection. Putting together such facts is nothing for me. You should know that, Miles Edgeworth.
Perfection is an impossibility, Franziska von Karma, and I'm here to teach you just that.
So, please elaborate on this blood point, because that's the thing that stood out to me.
So you're saying you saw the victim's blood?
That's right. Some of it had splattered onto Iris, too. When the defendant was arrested, she was meditating in her room, and her blood-flecked clothing was neatly folded in the corner.
What? Her clothes were blood-fleckled as well? That seems quite conclusive to me. What should I do? Press further. Going back to your previous statement, you said you saw little bleeding when the victim was stabbed. But now you say you saw the victim bleeding?
Well, I say that what I saw is what I saw.
What did you see?
Maybe I didn't see the poor woman get stabbed, but I saw the girl pull the sword out of her, plain as day. Damn, I was sure this was going to be something we would prove.
Pulling the sword out?
Well, it wasn't exactly pulling, it was more like it came out.
Hello, Spud. Please do not stand in front of the camera. Witness, you will add this statement to your testimony.
Oh, was that important?
More important than you can imagine.
Was smoothly drawn out? This thing? You're saying she drew this out smoothly? This shit would be hooked in like no one's business. You'd have to wrench it out. It better be this. Okay.
Sister Bikini, you are a reliable witness. At least I'd like to think so. But there are too many contradictions here.
What do you mean? You say it could sound as though I'm a liar. But you're a handsome young man, so I'll forgive you. What contradictions are you talking about?
In the scene the witness claims to have seen, the weapon was thrust up to its hilt into the victim. Furthermore, the killer withdrew the weapon smoothly from the body. However, both of these are complete impossibilities. What do you mean? Please explain.
Explain yourself.
To start with, do you think it would be possible to stab someone to the hilt with this? No matter how I look at the defendant, she doesn't appear to have enough. She doesn't appear strong enough for that.
Doesn't appear? What meaningless dribble? I too may appear to be weak and frail, but I can crush men under my heel and make them weep should I choose so.
Yeah. The objection stands. I wept a little back there, I must admit. That isn't the only issue here. If this sword was truly stabbed into the body up to the hilt, well, just look at all the branches on it. It certainly wouldn't come out smoothly. We also have the problem of the amount of bleeding.
Spud, must you do this?
It's true that when the blade is left in a body, it acts as a plug of sorts. However, when the weapon is shaped like this, it's an entirely different story. The wound would be too large for the blade to completely stop the bleeding.
That's also true. Hadn't even considered that possibility. Good point. That's nothing more than conjecture.
Not really.
In reality, the victim was stabbed with the Shichito. Even a weapon of this nature may still sometimes slide out smoothly and may still sometimes stop the blood loss.
What a ridiculous statement, frankly.
And we're the ones with pure conjecture? Well, now, suppose, possibly, that it could have done these things, and it may possibly have also stopped the blood loss, despite being completely impossibly shaped so. It went down at least 2 forks. There's no way it's plugging both sides of the wound at the same time.
I'm not finished. There's still one more conclusive contradiction.
Isn't it amazing when you get like 7 points out of one presentation?
You've still got more?
This one is simple.
If the sword really was thrust in all the way to the hilt, why is there only blood on the tip of it? If this witness is telling the truth, then there should be blood along the entire length of the sword.
No!
Order! Wah!
Bravo, Miles Edgeworth. Raising this many contradictions from a single piece of evidence. That's gotta be a record. That was like 4 contradictions. All the other attorneys I know could manage maybe 1, if that.
What does this all mean? You have proven contradictions regarding the murder weapon, but having come this far, there can only be one answer.
And that is...
the weapon used to kill the victim was not the Shichishito.
What? A foolishly foolish idea born from the foolish mind of a foolhardy foolish fool.
Let's examine this again. What was it that made us think the sword was the murder weapon?
Well, it's because Mystigami was holding it.
Exactly. However, if you reflect on this, that's the only basis we have to assume such a thing. The impression left by the scene was just too strong. That is what influenced us. It influenced us to believe that the Shichishito was the murder weapon. Order! Ah!
So maybe the Shichishito was not the murder weapon. Even if that is the case, it changes nothing, Miles Edgeworth. Shut the fuck up. What do you mean? Your witness is completely worthless still. The sister here saw everything. She saw the defendant stab the victim with a sword-like object. No, she just testified she saw it getting pulled out. She did nothing of the sort.
That's true.
No, she just said I actually saw it get pulled out.
If that is so, I'd like the prosecution to answer the obvious question it raises. The obvious question? Yes. Namely, where did the real murder weapon disappear to? It goes without saying the police searched the main hall and the surrounding area. Perhaps the prosecution can enlighten us as to if a sword-like object was found.
That's...
Answer the question, Miss Von Karma.
No evidence of that kind was found.
Another mystery to throw onto the pile. A trial without a murder weapon is a tricky beast.
Excuse me, could I say something? I just remembered something, actually. Oh, really? Will it be something super useful again? What is it, sister? I was just thinking, it's possible that just maybe what actually happened was, it was just over there.
What exactly are you going on about here?
The murder weapon, I mean. Maybe... I think I might know where the sword was disposed of.
You what?
Well then. I think we need to hear testimony from you one more time, sister.
Impossible! What else? What else could this old woman have seen?
Spudling, hello. Please do not try to stand in front of the camera again. I saw the murder at around 11 p.m., and after asking it be reported, I went out to the main gate. And there, I saw tracks that indicated the snowmobile had been used. It takes 15 minutes to walk to Dusky Bridge, but less than 5 using one of those. Maybe they threw the weapon into the Eagle River and came back while I was knocked out. Iris could have done that. She can drive a snowmobile after all. Fuck, how do we prove this one way or the other?
Witness, please tell us everything you know right away.
Well, I'm not in the best of shape. What with my back and my age and all. Quiet. There were indeed snowmobile tracks in front of the main gate. Here's a photograph.
A snowmobile, I see. Well, it certainly is an interesting theory. I have a problem. Why is there only tracks going this way? If she used this to... Okay, I can plot this whole thing out. So there's tracks going to the temple, but there's no tracks leaving the temple. But then, what's the obvious thing you say in response to that? Oh, it must have snowed after she used the snowmobile. However, all the testimony at this point has said the murder happened around 11 o'clock. And as the weather data proves, it had stopped snowing by that point. So I think I've got like the next couple of things figured out. The tracks begin in front of Hazakura Temple and run all the way to Dusky Bridge. That solves your pesky little problem, yes? The Eagle River's current is quite swift, meaning that it doesn't freeze over in winter. Making it the perfect place to dispose of the murder weapon. Did she really go to the river to dispose of the murder weapon? Mr. Edgeworth, your cross-examination. This is the easiest contradiction in my life. Just gotta find the right statement to use it on. Yes. This one. This has to be the one. Photo. Too easy. I admit this photograph proves something. It proves the snowmobile was used on the night of the murder. You finally accepted the inevitable, it seems, Miles Edgeworth. However, if what the witness says is true, then why is there only one set of tracks? What do you mean? Iris left Hazakura Temple, threw the weapon into the river, and then returned. If that was the case, then naturally there should be 2 sets of tracks in the snow. Those from heading out to the bridge, and those from coming back. Ah, you're right. You're forgetting one thing, Miles Edgeworth. On the night of the murder, it was snowing. See, too easy. The tracks leading to the bridge were erased by the snowfall. This removes your precious contradiction now, doesn't it? I see. While she was at the river, the snow stopped, leaving just the tracks and just the return tracks. What do you have to say now, Miles Edgeworth? Is there a flaw in her theory?
This idea the snow covered one sets of tracks. There is a contradiction, brother.
The tracks of the river were covered by the snow. What a nice theory. However, Miss Von Karma, that is impossible.
Would you care to explain why there is a rude index finger currently pointing in my direction?
No need. The evidence will do all the talking for me. On the night of the murder, the killer went to and returned from Dusky Bridge. In order to dispose of the murder weapon, the outgoing tracks were erased by the snow. Or so claims Miss Von Karma. Mr. Edgeworth, present your evidence to the contrary, eh? Witness, tell us again what time it was when you witnessed the crime.
Like I said, it was around 11.
Of course, this means that the weapon was thrown away after that time, correct? On that note, please take a look at this data. It is the weather report for Eagle Mountain on the night of the murder. The weather report? Snow started to fall at 7 p.m., but it stopped at around 10:50. Therefore, when the sister witnessed the crime at 11, the snow had already stopped falling. It is impossible for any tracks to be made after that time to have been covered up. Ah! Order, order. Very well then. It looks like Miss Von Karma's claim has been snowed in.
Ah! It's too soon to be closing this trial due to snow. Miles Edgeworth, how pathetic of you to rely on the weather of all things.
Same, brother, same.
Answer me this then. When is a weather report ever correct?
No, you've got it all wrong. This isn't a forecast, this is actual data.
Forecast data, all weather reports have some inaccuracies. Shut your fucking mouth. This is literally just a recording of when it happened. It may have still been snowing in the vicinity well past 11 p.m. No!
It's true, we cannot be totally sure.
Well, in that case, I might as well just say, how do you know those fingerprints happen to belong to the witness? Isn't it theoretically possible that the fingerprints could have been entered incorrectly, or that somebody else just happens to have the same fingerprints? It's theoretically possible, isn't it? You know, like, sure, okay, possible, not very realistic, is it? We know what time the snow stopped. You could look out the window and see it has stopped.
What?
How did she pull that off? I know, it was a complete swindle. I might as well just say, oh, well, the forensic data could be totally fucking wrong, because there's always going to be some inaccuracies, right?
It had stopped snowing at Hazakura when the murder took place. You need to provide conclusive evidence of this.
Okay, let me look at the photo. The next thing that would prove this would be if there is snow on top of the murder weapon. Or, you know, her in general. There is none. Which, I actually did notice earlier that there was no snow here, but didn't think it was really worth commenting on at the time. I've come this far, there's no turning back now. Very well, I too cannot allow any doubts to remain concerning this testimony. Ha! You can't back down, can you? Such a perfectionist, Miles Edgeworth.
Very well then, Mr. Edgeworth. Where is your evidence? Ultimately, it all comes down to one point. That being, whether or not it was snowing in the courtyard when the victim was stabbed.
That's right, but proving that is
incredibly easy. If we want to know whether it was snowing or not, this photo will tell us everything. Of course, I am referring to the photo of the crime scene. As you can see, everything is covered with snow. With one exception. And that is, can you not see? The victim herself, Miss Elise. Why is there no snow on top of her? The answer is simple. It had stopped snowing when she was killed. That's why. In other words, if the killer really did go to Eagle River to dispose of the murder weapon, then in this photograph there should be two sets of tracks. Yeah. Order, just what are you? Yeah.
Just what are you suggesting, Miles Edgeworth?
To be honest, I am not entirely sure myself, but this is simply what all of the facts point to. That night, someone used the snowmobile to leave Hazakura Temple. From the tracks left, it can be understood that they were heading for Dusky Bridge. At that time, it was still snowing.
Of course it was, because those tracks were erased by the snow.
Then, when this person returned to Hazakura Temple, the snow had stopped. Thus, the return tracks remained.
Can I say something? This all sounds a bit fishy to me. You're right. What does, sister? There is only one key for the snowmobile. Furthermore, on the night in question, we know the defendant had it. The key was found in her room after the murder. Which can only mean that night, Iris used the snowmobile to go to the inner temple.
But Iris said that she never went there. I should probably press on this point some more when I get the chance.
The snowmobile can't cross the suspension bridge. Well, it could, but you'd have to be insane. So she must have left it on the Hazakura side of the bridge and crossed on foot.
That sounds about right.
But what's odd, when I left Iris and returned to Hazakura Temple, I didn't see anything near Dusky Bridge. You must have just failed to see it, sister. Maybe, but when I made it back to Hazakura Temple, it was there, by the main gate. The snowmobile, I mean. I know what I saw. It was covered in snow, too.
But that isn't possible. Order in the court. What does this all mean? So then, what was the snowmobile used for? It wasn't taken by the defendant when she went to the inner temple. If it had been, then the witness couldn't possibly have seen it by the gate. Furthermore, it wasn't used by the killer to dispose of the murder weapon. If that was the case, there should be two sets of tracks in this photo. All we know is this. After it stopped snowing, someone used the snowmobile to return to Hazakura Temple. I never thought a simple snowmobile could cause so much trouble.
It is quite confounding, isn't it?
I think we learned about all we can from this witness.
Yes, I'm nothing more to add. I've told you everything that I know.
But then, that still leaves us with the same problem. If only there was someone, a witness who could testify to having seen the snowmobile. A witness, huh? Was there no one out walking perhaps near Dusky Bridge that night?
I don't think that's likely. It was cold enough to freeze your ears off. Only an idiot would go out wandering in that. Well, I just happen to know some idiot. Unless they had something really important to do.
That's a shame. Hold on, something's coming to me. An idiot may well have gone wandering on that sub-Arctic night. Your Honor, actually, there just might be one individual who could be of help to us. Really?
You know of someone who might have seen the snowmobile on the night of the murder?
I don't know for sure if he saw it or not, but there are two things about him that do come to mind. Which are, first, that he saw something incredible on the night of the murder.
And the second being?
That is this individual that I am thinking of went wandering outside on the cold night. In other words, he is our kind of idiot.
Who's this idiot you're talking about?
What a mystery right there. This guy must be a product of Jean-Luc Ladoc's Guide to Obnoxious French Painting. This is Larry Butts, a disciple of the victim Elise. Her student? Interesting. And why was he wandering about outside on the night of the murder? That's... I could tell them all about his designs for Iris, but it may cost us his credibility as a witness before I even call him. He is, after all, an artist. He was perhaps searching for something in the snowy scenery that would move him. Although I cannot guarantee that this is the reason.
And so, this unfortunate, unreliable-looking man, what exactly was it that he saw?
I intend to extract that from him right here in this courtroom. Summon this youth as a witness immediately.
I have no choice, do I?
I believe he is in the gallery for this trial. It will not take long to summon him. Very well.
Larry.
You may have escaped me yesterday.
Only because he couldn't be bothered to do it again.
But today I'm going to get everything out of you. The court will adjourn for a 20-minute break. Miss Von Karma, please see to the preparing the next witness.
Understood, Your Honor.
Good. Well then, court's now in recess.
Still fucking loved that reaction. More psyche locks. No! Well, that was so fucking good, man.